Modi government at this function. The book is edited by Sri K.J. Alphonse. He belongs to the 1979 batch of the IAS. He was in the Times magazine list of 100 young global leaders. He quit the IAS in 2006 and became an independent MLA. He was Minister of State, Independent Charge, Tourism. He is currently a member of Parliament Rajya Sabha from Rajasthan. May I invite the author, Sri K.J. Alphonse, to welcome the guests.
Honorable Vice President of India, Sri Venkaiah Naidu ji, Honorable Governor of Kerala, Sri Arif Muhammad Khan, CEO of Niti Aayog, Sri Amitabh Kant, Honorable Ministers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. We are here gathered for the release of the book, Accelerating India, 7 Years of Modi Government. What prompted me to write this book? I said in a democracy, people have the right to know. Governments have to be accountable. And 10 years was a long time when the government needed to give an account to the people of India so that they could judge whether the government they elected was doing a good job, a bad job, indifferent job. And I said, I'm not going to write all the chapters to be writing, and I would edit the chapters. I've just written 2 chapters along with my co-authors. Whom did I pick up? I said, let me pick up people who are completely apolitical, whose domain knowledge is unparalleled, and whose expertise is unquestionable. So I picked up people. There are 2 people who are former Chief Information Commissioners, Sri Sudhir Bhargav and Bimal Julka. We have 3 serving officers, Mr. Sanjeev Sanyal, the Principal Economic Advisor, Bharadlal, Mission Director, National Jal Jeevan Mission, and Mr. Anant Nageshwaran, who is a member of the Economic Advisory Council to the Prime Minister. There are 12 former secretaries to the Government of India who have worked in that particular domain and who have contributed to the book. We have 2 former Chief Secretaries, Mr. Jidesh Khosla and Mr. Shakti Sinha, who have contributed. The former secretaries being Mr. L.C. Goyal, Mr. G. Mohan Kumar, Brinda Sarup, Mr. Parameshwar Iyer, Ashish Bahuguna, Preeti Sudan, C.K. Mishra, Ravinder Singh, Gauri Kumar, Jugal Mahapatra, O.P. Agarwal, and S. Machendranathan. We also have contributions from the former Additional Chief Secretary of Kerala, Sri Anand Bose. We have the voice of the industry and the Vice President of CIA, Dr. Pawan Munjal, writing on what the industry expects from the government in the future. We also have domain experts, Taru Bahel, who's written on tourism, Vaibhav Dange, who is possibly the best expert on infrastructure in the country. You ask him about any road in the country, he would be able to tell you without looking at any papers what the status would be. And of course, I have written the chapter on infrastructure along with Vaibhav Dange. And the chapter on IT, I have co-authored with my son, Akash Alphonse, who is an IT expert located in London. So this is the idea of the book. In fact, in my introduction, I have said nothing. I said I don't want anybody to prejudge what is in the articles. I think anybody who supports the government must read the book. Anybody who decides to oppose the government must read the book. Anybody who is indifferent must read the book, because this book is a book of facts. It's got 25 major sectors in which the government has had achievements. We have analyzed the policies. We have given the data. I think it's a mine of data. I think there is so much of information in the book which I think every citizen really must read. So that's the whole idea, so that we play exactly what the government is done. I think this is what governments really have to do across the world from time to time, so that the citizen who selected the government would have knowledge about what has happened. May I now invite and welcome the Honorable Vice President of India, Sri Venkaiah Naidu ji, to this function. in his busy schedule as Vice President of India and also as Chairman of the Rajya Sabha. He's had such a busy schedule, but he's been very, very kind. He's encouraged me in the Parliament a lot, and he's been very kind to agree to release this book. And on behalf of the publishers and me, may I invite you, sir, welcome you, sir, to this function. The Honorable Governor of Kerala, Sri Arif Mohammad Khan, he's contributed one of the chapters to the book on the Muslim personal law. He has been a personal friend of mine for a very long time, known to be somebody who believes in things and who stands by his beliefs. He's come specifically for the function. Of course, he also has other work in Delhi. And on behalf of the publishers and the book, may I welcome Honorable Governor Sri Arif Mohammad Khan. Sri Amitabh Khan, CEO of Niti Aayog, I think the way the civil service was conceived as a service which would deliver what the Constitution has promised to the country, Amitabh Khan represents most of what the Constitution really envisaged. Somebody who is competent, apolitical, and a man who delivers. He's from Kerala Kada, and he's also written the first chapter in the book, overview of what the government has done in 7 years. May I welcome Mr. Amitabh Khan, CEO of Niti Aayog, to this function. I have Honorable Minister Sri Rajiv Chandrasekhar and Mr. Muralidharan. We have the Chairman of President of ICCR. We have all the contributors. Most of the contributors are here. We have members of the media. We have the publishers. And we have also the editor of the book. And I welcome all of you to this function, and I thank you all for turning up here for this very important release of the book. Thank you very much.
Sri Amitabh Kant is the CEO of Niti Aayog. Niti Aayog has lived up to its reputation as the think tank of the government with innovative ideas. Previously, as Tourism Secretary of Kerala, he popularized the slogan, God's Own Country. As the Director General of Tourism, he was responsible for the Incredible India branding. He has written the first chapter in the book. May I invite Sri Amitabh Khan to kindly deliver his address.
Honorable Vice President of India, Shri Venkaiah Naidu ji, Honorable Governor of Kerala, Shri Arif Mohammad Khan ji, our distinguished ministers, Mr. Rajiv Chandrasekhar and Mr. Muralidharan, the President of ICCR, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I'm one of the rare civil servants who's been fortunate to have rather had the opportunity of working with this government all through its 7 years. And I've earlier been Secretary, Department of Industrial Policy and Promotion when this government came into power, and subsequently I've been CEO of Niti Aayog for over 5 years now. So all 7 years I spent with this government. During this period, I've been associated with the government in several of its programs, from Make in India, Startup India, to Ease of Doing Business, to the Aspirational District programs. And my perspective on the government, 7 years of Mr. Narendra Modi's government, has been that I would see it as its lasting contributions on 3 broad issues. One is its ability to reach out to the common citizens of India on a vast range of areas, starting from housing to health insurance to electricity, and a range of things which have made a huge impact on the lives of the common citizen. The second key area has been its ability to deliver on ease of doing business and ease of living, and doing away with a vast range of rules, regulation, procedures, laws, and so on, And thirdly, I think its ability to use technology to leapfrog across a whole range of areas. And I broadly feel that there has been a very comprehensive network of schemes and initiatives which have ushered in a huge amount of reforms, but more than that, ensured welfare for citizens. And I just wanted to touch a few of them. Look at the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, for instance, where we've had almost close to 112 lakh houses being constructed on ground. Or look at Pradhan Mantri Sahaj Bijli Har Ghar Yojana, or the 100% electrification in both rural and urban areas. Or look at Ujjwala Yojana, where over 83 million LPG connections were given. And the All India LPG connection coverage has been close to about 99.5%. And the Ujjwala 2.0 will be launched by the Honorable Prime Minister tomorrow. Or just look at the Pradhan Mantri Kisan, for instance, where Government of India provides income support to the farmers. And after the 9th installment, which was released today by the Prime Minister, we've had almost 1.37 lakh crores going straight into the bank accounts of the farmers. Or look at Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, which is the health insurance for 500 million Indians. And this makes it the world's largest health insurance scheme in the world. And it's totally digital, it's paperless, cashless. You can be a citizen of Bihar traveling to Kerala, you will take your health insurance across. And that's what makes it unique, because 500 million means the entire population of Europe together. That is the size and scale of that scheme. I'm personally in charge of another scheme which is about looking at some of the most backward districts of India. And they're really backward because they're far-flung, all indicators of health, education, etc. These were the most backward districts of India. The Prime Minister said we'll not call them backward, we'll call them the aspirational districts of India. And we've tried to totally transform them by a simple model of converging scheme, creating a huge sense of collaboration and competition, and trying to bring out data on a real-time basis and putting it right before the district officers who've competed with each other. And the scheme has been lauded by Michael Porter from Harvard and by the UNDP in its recent report as one of the most transformational schemes which should actually be implemented in parts of Latin America and Africa now. So that's one part of it, reaching out to the common citizens of India. And I wanted to touch on the technology reforms, because not only do we have every citizen with a biometric, every citizen with a bank account, and every citizen with a mobile phone, and over 750 million smartphones, which has enabled us to put money straight into the bank account of the citizens. Many years back, when I was working in Kerala in the traditional fisheries sector, and we were trying to transform the lives of traditional fishermen, we could give them outboard motors, we could give them crafts, we could give them new fishing nets. But opening their bank accounts was a nightmare. It used to take 8 or 9 months chasing the bank managers to open a bank account for a fisherman. Today, you can open a bank account in less than a minute using biometric. And that has been the transformational journey, from 9 months to less than a minute. And you have 700 million internet users, and we are adding one new user every 3 seconds. And I have been, directly involved with the startup ecosystem. And let me just say that this year, that is the year of a huge COVID pandemic, where we've had 15 startup unicorns in just the first 6 months of 2021. And Indian startups have actually raised well over $13.7 billion US from across the world. But I think the key has been that we've created Atmanirbhar capital through what the Zomato has done, with 40 times oversubscribed. And now soon we'll have many startups like Paytm, Nykaa, Flipkart, all of them, PhonePe, all of them going to the Indian market to raise money. And when we started with the UPI, the Unified Payment Interface, which enables you to digital payment, many of us, many people across the world felt that it will be very, very difficult. But this month we've touched 3 billion mark in volume, 6 trillion mark in value of transaction. And UPI transactions, actually, if you look at it, today are more than Amex. In 4 years' time, UPI has taken over Amex, which has been existing for over 40 years. And I can assure you that in the next 3 years, it will overtake Visa as well. And therefore, these are transformational technology level jumping, which will actually change the lives of people, but it will change the journey of a country. And since I've worked in industries and I've had a ringside view of most of the reforms from the Niti Aayog, let me also say that ease of doing business, where India jumped up 79 positions in the ease of doing business, over 1,500 laws being scrapped, which one could have never imagined, the GST subsuming about 17 taxes and multiple cesses, corporate tax reforms, which was slashed to about 15% for new manufacturing companies and 22% for the rest. Or look at IBC, which leads to quicker resolution of stressed assets and credit discipline, brings in huge amount of credit discipline. These were reforms which the country was crying out for the last 5 decades. And now pushing for asset monetization or demonopolizing sectors. I mean, coal was monopolized when I was in school. For 50 years, we've had a monopoly of coal, and we became an importing nation of coal. And therefore, demonopolizing coal and allowing private sectors to step in to accelerate production, these are, to my mind, transformational reforms in the journey of a nation. And similarly, I think abolishing FIPB or opening up FDI, and that is the reason why the Indian tech companies during this period of the pandemic itself, we've achieved record FDI levels. We've received much higher level of FDI than any other country has received, and we've received more FDI than more than USA or more than China together. And therefore, my belief is that all these measures and countless which I have not been able to put together in this very short time span will eventually lead to not merely long-term growth on a high trajectory growth for India over the next 3 decades, but will actually lead to inclusive growth. And they will make India a welcoming destination for business, ensure socio-economic development, and I think these will really transform the lives of Indian citizens. And therefore, my own journey of the 7 years with this government, to my mind, has been one of the most satisfying ones, probably been the most satisfying journey of my career in this 42 years of my career in government. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a very, very holistic transformation. Thank you very much.
His Excellency Sri Arif Muhammad Khan, Governor of Kerala, is also an eminent Islamic scholar. He always had the reputation for standing up for his beliefs. He has been a staunch supporter of human rights, and he is an extremely citizen-friendly governor. May I invite His Excellency to kindly deliver his address.
Thank you very much. माननीय उपराष्ट्रपति श्री वेंकैया नायडू जी, श्री अल्फोंस कन्ननतानम, Member of Parliament and editor of the volume which is going to be released today, Shri Amitabh Kantji, CEO Niti Aayog, Shri Vikesh Dhyani, ladies and gentlemen. My thanks to Kannantan ji for your invite to attend this event organized to release the book edited by you, and our Honorable Vice President is going to release the book. Thank you very much for your invite. Thank you very much for asking me to contribute an article on a subject rather on a decision taken by the government to put an end to the obnoxious and evil practice of triple talaq, which was, according to the Supreme Court of India, was not only not in consonance with the provisions of the scripture, but also violated, for being arbitrary, it violated the provisions of the Constitution of India. But unfortunately, despite the Supreme Court having pronounced the judgment in August 2017, the practice continued. And a month later, a young girl of my erstwhile constituency also became victim of triple talaq. For a month, I tried my best to make this boy and his family to see the reason and realize that after the pronouncement of the Supreme Court judgment, this is not valid. But not only initially they refused to listen, but when more pressure was brought on them, then they asked, the condition they put was to commit another enormity, that let the girl marry someone else, which is in legal terms is called halal. So it was not only triple divorce, they were asking another enormity of the girl to go through another enormity also. For a month I tried my best. Then when it failed, on 6 October, I wrote a letter to the Honorable Prime Minister. Was not certain what will be his reaction because my letter was bit harsh. I said, if we do not make a law to enforce the judgment of the Supreme Court, then we will be committing the same blunder which was committed in 1986. 86, by reversing the judgment of the Supreme Court through parliamentary legislation, and now by not making a law by Parliament to uphold the judgment of the Supreme Court. To my surprise, next day I received the call. I went to Prime Minister's office. I could see that my 6-page letter was, on every page, there was red marking. He was kind enough to discuss the issue for 55 minutes and then told me, now I'm convinced, now you need not contact anybody. Persons concerned will contact. And sure, next day by 10 in the morning, Law Ministry contacted. Some of the officers came to my place, discussed whatever material I had to show that this practice is not permissible even in very orthodox and traditional Muslim society. They have already banned it. And this was never sanctioned. In fact, the Privy Council judgment which upheld it was good in law, bad in religion. Our Supreme Court set the record straight by saying how something which is bad in religion can be good in... I mean, if you are saying this is a religious law, then if it is bad in religion, how can it be good in law? So I feel, I got the book today, full of, as already pointed out, and Amitabh ji has given in detail, described by Alphonse ji. So I'm not going to talk about the other chapters which have very impressive data on the overall progress which has been achieved in different sectors. But I feel that whatever economic prosperity we bring, and it has been said in our tradition, Riddham hi Rajyam Padmendra Maha, a healthy and prosperous state is like a paradise. But this healthy and prosperous state, there is another obligation that we look after those who have been, not because of any official action or the government action, but those who are reeling under because certain social evils are being practiced or they have been accepted, they have been given legitimacy. Like today in Kerala, we are busy with campaign against dowry. And in about a month's time, it has reached a level where I'm very happy to say that apart from the decisions that every degree recipient before he is given degree will have to sign a bond, government has also taken a decision that every government employee will have to sign a bond. And in case of violation, university shall be well within its rights to withdraw the degree, cancel the degree, or government taking disciplinary action against those who violate it. But the most happy aspect is that in about a month's time, young boys at the time of the marriage, on 16th of July, when the bride came decked in jewelry, he said, I have come to marry this girl, not the jewelry. You will have, before marriage is solemnized, you will have to remove the jewelry. She should wear only Mangal Sutra and 2 bangles. And it's to my great surprise, it seems to have caught the imagination of the because it's a literate state. Awareness was already there, but the need is to take that awareness to a level where social sanctions can be built against these people. So government has also to look after those who are being oppressed through other factors. And I think that in this matter of triple talaq, what the government has done is historical. Today, there may be people who are criticizing it, but the data has already revealed that since this law has passed, there is 80% decline in the divorce rate. So thank you very much for inviting and giving me this opportunity to share these facts with this august audience. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Next is releasing of the book by the Honorable Vice President Sri M. Venkaiah Naidu. The Honorable Vice President is known as a great administrator and eminent scholar on diverse subjects from agriculture to urban development. He is the repository of great wisdom. He has been promoting Indian culture across the world. He is passionate about preservation of our languages. He is a farmer's son who has risen to the second highest constitutional post. He has been an inspiration to the whole country. May I now kindly request the Honorable Vice President to release the book by delivering the first copy of the book to His Excellency, the Governor of Kerala.
Thank you very much.
May I kindly request the Honorable Vice President of India to enlighten us with his words of wisdom.
माननीय राज्यपाल श्री आरिफ मोहम्मद खान जी, केंद्र सरकार में मंत्री श्री मुरलीधरन जी, श्री राजीव चंद्रशेखर जी, मुख्य कार्यनिर्वाहक सचिव नीति आयोग श्री अमिताभ कांत जी, श्री के.जी. अल्फोंस, इस कार्यक्रम का आयोजन करता और बुक का संकलन करने वाले सभी आर्टिकल्स को सबको जोड़ने वाले श्रीमान अल्फोंस, माननीय संसद सदस्य, इस सभागृह में आज समावेश में आए हुए सभी contributors to this book and brothers and sisters. I am happy to be here with you all today to launch the book Accelerating India, 7 years of Modi government. I am told this book is a collection of 25 essays covering 25 sectors of Indian governance and has contributions from 28 eminent authors. My compliments to the editor, Member of Parliament Sri K.J. Alphonse, the authors and the publishers for bringing out this publication. Brothers and sisters, India is entering its 75th year of independence in a few days. It is a momentous occasion that brings to our mind the struggle and sacrifice with which our forefathers won our freedom from the yoke of colonial rule. With an unflinching determination, a revolutionary zeal, and unwavering commitment to a syncretism of our civilization and modern values, these noble souls laid the foundation for the rebirth of a great nation through our Constitution. Our Constitution promises each individual and community a right to dignified life, while also protecting them from discrimination. It is a pledge we have given to ourselves at the beginning of the Republic to be upheld at all times and to be delivered to each individual. As we celebrate our Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, it is also time to evaluate our progress and always analyze how well we have kept this promise to the common man. This is very, very important. Introspection, analyzation, review of the promise made, purpose of the registration or the reform, and the achievement so far, the shortcomings, if any, the best practices in different parts of the country and the globe, and the way forward. That is the purpose of this book. I would like to take this people-centric approach to see where we are as a nation and our journey ahead. After all, a nation is not just a set of boundaries, symbols, and institutions. A nation is its people. My dear brothers and sisters, the last 7 years of the Modi government have been marked by a number of initiatives, number of reforms that are enumerated and elaborated quite well in this volume. The volume consists of analyzation of various initiatives and also the reforms undertaken. The focus has been on making the existing system function more effectively through a process of constant reflection and reform. The government also has been thinking outside the box and is seeking to transform governance to meet the challenges of the 21st century. The challenges have been many. We are a huge country. We are facing the most complex of these for the last year and a half because of the pandemic. It had an unprecedented disruption in our lives. It has been a health challenge of such massive proportion we have not faced in the last 100 years. And also it has had its fallout on the economy, on the life and livelihood opportunities of the people. The government have responded to the challenge with great alacrity by ramping up production of drugs, vaccines, essential supply of masks, sanitizers, and critical healthcare infrastructure. Formulation of the National Health Policy 2017 with its vision to achieve the highest possible level of good health and well-being for all Indians. And the Ayushman Bharat scheme in 2018 with much needed focus on primary health and wellness centers and a health insurance scheme provide a robust framework for building a national capacity to deal with these numerous health challenges. The country may face further challenges tomorrow. To the personal initiative of the Prime Minister, we had an immensely successful Swachha Bharat Abhiyan, through which more than 10 crore toilets were built for the poor, saving millions of children from diarrhea deaths and bringing dignity and safety to our sisters and mothers. Poshan Abhiyan focused on nutrition and yoga as a tool for all-round well-being are part of the country's comprehensive healthcare strategy. Friends, education sector is the next important sector that determines the quality of our human resources and can be a powerful catalyst to make our progress sustainable, inclusive, and harmonious. The recent National Education Policy is truly a visionary document that can fulfill this promise and make education in India a holistic, value-based, and happy learning experience. Even on the higher education front, with improving research and better quality assessment of institutions, India is poised to play a critical role on the global stage. One of the important components of the national education policy that is close to my heart is the emphasis on mother tongue as the medium of instruction at primary and secondary levels. The recent initiative of the government to offer, and also ICT, professional courses too in mother tongue is a welcome move. My dear friends, there are many schemes, programs and policies that the Modi government have initiated. I have mentioned two sectors related to human development only as an illustration. Amitabh Kanji, he has made a digital presentation before you, without applying digital media. He has such a great remembrance power because he is also behind the formulation of many of these schemes. There are many more. These have been analyzed in this volume very comprehensively, competently by some of the best minds in the country and bringing to bear their vast years of experience. These contributions are made not because of their academic or because of their intelligent thinking or their background. It is the field experience. That's why I call them as the best minds, some of the best minds in our country, with vast experience. When the Planning Commission was transformed into the National Institute of Transforming India, the direction was clearly set reform, perform and transform. These are the three words which were very dear to my heart. The Prime Minister has taken it and he gave a new national mantra, setting tone for a new look at governance. That is the biggest contribution made by Sri Narendra Bhai Modi. What we need is that transformative vision and reformist zeal to pervade every policy decision we take and every program we formulate. In a democratic federal polity like ours, progress is possible only through a dialogue between union and state governments. This is very much required. I suggest to both the centre and state governments to always be in the dialogue mode, interact with each other, cooperate and operate in the larger interest of the country. Because the country, we have a three-tier system. We have union government here, we have state governments at the provincial level, and we have local bodies, both urban as well as rural. Unless all these systems or these tiers of governance, they all come together, implementation of these programs or these reforms or these initiatives are not that much easy. The concept of Team India, underscored by the Honorable Prime Minister Sri Narendra Bhai Modi, so often is the only way out. I underline the only way out. Second, we must ensure that the benefits of development policies and programs reach everyone, especially the most vulnerable and marginalized. Formulation is fine, articulation is fine, legislation is fine, but the most crucial part, critical part is delivery. We have to focus people working in the field. There are a lot of serving officers and retired officers, civil servants. I would like to emphasize on one thing. At the end of the day, the political leadership formulates schemes, and you officers at the central level can also fine-tune. But the implementation part, delivery is the D. That is very much important. Then only these reforms will have a meaning. That's why reform, perform and transform. Without performing, transformation is not possible. Transformation for the betterment of the nation. That is the mandate given to the Niti Aayog. So people working in the field at every level, including people's representatives, they must focus on important aspect is delivery, last mile delivery. Second, we must ensure the benefits reach each and every one, especially the vulnerable and marginalized. For that, you have to avoid the delay. You have to abolish the middlemen. You have to see that the benefits reach people directly, without deviation, without dilution. That is very important. The middlemen, they try to exploit any system. Some of them have been exploiting also all these years. Now the time has come to see that these programs which are part of the transformation of direct benefit transfer, opening bank accounts, and reaching these schemes through bank accounts. I remember I was minister at that time when Prime Minister suggested that we must open bank accounts. I happily told, being one of the seniors, yes, we'll complete it during our tenure. He said, during our tenure. I said, yes. He said, no. I said, a thing which could not be achieved in 58 years. If we are going to achieve in 4 years, we must be happy. He said, no. It should be done forthwith at the earliest. Some of us thought it's an ambitious program. It is not that much easy. Because of the drive and the leadership provided by the Prime Minister, number of bank accounts opened, and then in the country there is no dearth of skeptical people. They said, bank account is open, kiya paisa bhi aaya. And then it started reaching the people. The DBT is one of the most refining moment of the reforms, because reaching to the people without dilution and without deviation, or without deduction or reduction, that is important. Otherwise one has to wait, go around the offices, stand in the queue, go and meet the person, shake hand, and do something in between hand. This has been the practice, let us be frank. How? In some of these schemes, they are directly reaching the people. So the way out is to see that the benefits reach people, particularly marginalized and vulnerable. The Aspirational District Program is a good initiative that seeks to accelerate development in areas which have fallen behind. Friends, I am glad that a number of programs have been launched to leave no one behind and improve the ease of living. With Jana Dhana Yojana, Pradhana Mantri Awas Yojana, Saubhagya Yojana, Ujjwala Yojana have greatly improved their access to other amenities like housing, electricity, fuel. I appreciate the government for setting an ambitious target of tapped water connection to nearly 20 crore households by 2024. Going forward, we must not only focus on improving access, but also improving quality and timely delivery of these services. This will come from reviewing our models and replicating good practices from our best performing districts. Along with good education, we must equip our young minds with the right skill set and provide the right inputs for them to fully flourish, improving infrastructure, creating a conducive business environment through technology adoption and among other initiatives. Take the case of agriculture. For instance, even though our farmers toil today, day and night to feed the country, they have only had subsistence incomes over the years. But with the right inputs through programs like Soil Health Card, market opportunities like Inam, irrigation projects through Krishi Sinchai Yojana, and better value addition to crops through food processing, our farmers have been working miracles through record food grain production over the years. See in this COVID, the two sectors. Of course, pharmaceutical is a business industry. It is in demand, so naturally that sector has contributed to the economy of the country. But agriculture, in spite of this massive problem created, the agriculture production has gone up by 6.3%. Hats off to the farming community of the country. If you provide them the needed support, timely credit, irrigation facility, quality power. I am not for this free power. Free power means first low power, then no power. No power is free power only. This is my conviction. People want timely, adequate, affordable power. This we must ensure to the farmers, then they will do more wonders. The crop insurance scheme has to be improved further. What are the bottlenecks? What are the drawbacks? Why the scheme has not yet fully caught up? This has to be analyzed. And the loopholes has to be rectified. And we must accelerate. This is because that is also an important aspect of helping the farmer coming to his rescue as and when he is hit by natural calamities. Likewise, we have to complement government skilling programs like Kaushal Vikas Yojana and make our youth competent and conversant in the latest technologies to improve their employability. The government has created a dedicated skill development ministry to give impetus to skill development in the country. I always believed, and I say it openly, there is an inherent knowledge in our country among our youngsters. What is required is skill upgradation. Skill upgradation, and with a huge population. It's not possible for any government to provide employment to each and every person. But if we can really give them the skills, they'll be able to stand on their own. This is another important aspect on which the government and the Prime Minister is focusing, but further focus is required at all levels. I'm happy that industry leaders through CSR funds and non-government organizations are also contributing to these efforts. They must step up their efforts. Every industry must have a skill development center. It should be made mandate. And it will be very useful. It's not a simply obligatory. It will be very useful for the industry itself. I'm also glad that the government has been improving the ease of doing business over the years. Moving towards, the government has no business to be in business. Doing business, burning your hands, and then coming and saying, sir, we have burned our fingers, then tax people and give us support. They must be made accountable. For that, you need to provide ease of doing business. Business creates wealth. There is another weakness in our system from the beginning, somehow, slowly it's going. Business means something untouchable during daytime. Of course, evening time, you can again meet and greet them. What is this? They are also wealth creators. It is the duty of the government and the country and the people to see that the obstacles of doing business, honest business of course, and honest businessmen must be able to really come forward by removing these bottlenecks. Startups, encouraging Indian firms through flagship programs like Atmanirbhar Bharat. A thriving economy will generate great wealth for our country and create enormous job opportunities for our youth. Friends, before I conclude, I will say we have come a long way from the dreams of our founding fathers for our nation. Successive governments have been making enormous efforts to realize these dreams. But what is required and what the present government has done is to accelerate the pace of reform and transform the way India is governed and the country moves ahead on the developmental journey with greater confidence and competence. Accelerating India, that should be top on the agenda. I am sure this book will serve as an excellent objective documentation of the progress made during the last 7 years under the dynamic, forward-looking leadership of Prime Minister. It will serve as a guide for our policy makers to reflect on what more needs to be done and identify key elements of the unfinished agenda. My compliments to all friends, the authors, the publishers, once again, for bringing this book. And before I conclude, I would like to say the purpose of reform is to transform the lives of the people. Not only to make them comfortable, to make them happy. Happiness, that index, happiness index. Are the people happy with the system, with the scheme, with the government, No tension because there is needed attention by the concerned, everybody doing their duty. Doing their duty, that's all. Nothing else is required. You need not sacrifice your lives and all nowadays. If everybody does their duty, the progress can be accelerated and we can make people happy. Happy. It should start from higher level to lower level, lower level to higher level. The other day, the Supreme Court Chief Justice said that the unhappiness starts from the police station. Police system must be a friend of the people in need. That's transformation we have to bring in. It's a state subject. That's it. Subject is subject now. Point is that our aim should be to make people happy. Because a happy nation can become a wealthy nation. There is no guarantee that a wealthy nation can be a healthy nation. So for that, we should really work hard and analyze so far the performance and the promises made. And a bold and dynamic leadership at all levels is required to accelerate reforms. Just now you heard about triple talaq, a country which is independent, which is supposed to be very civilized nation, could tolerate and live with that for this many number of years. Torture, discrimination against women of a particular community because of some dogmatic this thing and all. The reason being, I can tell you, the people who are in minority, not religion, number-wise, they are violent in public discourse. The people, majority, they are silent. They don't come forward. They don't speak out. They don't stand. Whenever you speak for reforms, you will be singled out. Here is the case of Ari Muhammad Khan, we know the Shahbano case, subsequently what happened and all. It will be there. Vested interest will always protest. They try to protect the present system. Not only about this triple talaq, taxation reforms, administrative reforms, any reform, it will really hurt some people, but help a large section of the people and give them right opportunities that the Constitution speaks of. Friends, I released this book and appeal to the people to go through it because it's an analytical study that will be very useful to make our own assessment. Thank you very much. Namaskar. Jai Hind.
The book is published by Oak Bridge Private Limited. Sri Vikesh Dhyani and Sri Srish Chandra are the directors of the company. May I now kindly invite Sri Vikesh Dhyani for words of thanks.
This is another reform we brought this in. No vote of thanks, words of thanks. Because vote divides people.
Thank you, sir. Honorable Vice President of India, Shri M. Venkaiah Naidu, Honorable Governor of Kerala, Shri Arif Mohammed Khanji, Shri Amitabh Kant, CEO Niti Aayog, Shri K.J. Alphonse, the author and editor of the book, Honorable Union Ministers, domain experts, contributors of various chapters, and eminent dignitaries in the audience today. It has been an honor and a privilege for all of us to publish and release this wonderful book, Accelerating India, 7 Years of Modi Government, at this August gathering of experts today. The book Accelerating India, 7 Years of Modi Government attempts to objectively assess and evaluate the qualitative and quantitative impact of the government in last 7 years with a view to accelerate and transform India. Unraveling the growth story of 25 sectors, the book is a must-read for a diverse set of people, whether they are business leaders, policy makers, investors, business professionals, administrators, or diplomats, academicians, or general leaders. There's something for everyone in the book.